God just kind of prompted this in me in the last 30 minutes. So I want to get you caught up to speed, and then I'm going to tell you why, and then I'm going to tell you why. So this whole journey for me of getting to understanding what I'm understanding about myself, about God and Creator, about existence and how everything's laid out. I don't often talk about what's actually going on in my life because it doesn't really matter. I talk about how it's going on in my life. I stop thinking and looking at the picture of a broken foot, a flat tire. You know, the struggle of life, that part doesn't matter as much as that something is happening. And how we react to that something dictates our life. How we choose to respond to the somethings, to the suddenlies, to the life-changing moments dictate if you create or destroy. And when we realize that every single conversation we have is a life-changing moment, everything changes. You have the power to create and destroy in every single conversation that you have, in every single interaction that you have. And realizing that and having that come alive to you, like to be able to look at them and go, I can see what that created now. And look at the next one, I can see what I just created. I can see how I planted a seed and the fruit of that seed now has to grow. It's going to grow. And every moment is a seed of faith. And when we plant our faith, now if we use fear to plant it, it's going to grow into destruction. But if we use faith to plant it, I know that your word and your truth, God, says this. And you put the words out there. And then you begin to walk toward it, believing that it's already done. You planted the seed, it's coming. If you watch for it, you'll see it. Now, in the same exact way, he shows us on the other side that if we can see something growing that we didn't mean to grow, you can go and find where you planted the seed. And go, what was that seed? Oh, that was a seed of fear. And it grows up in your life. Now, what prompted me to think all of that, to realize that? What showed me in my life that that was possible? What led me to the door that made me knock to see what was on the other side of it? And I didn't really think about it until today. It's been months and months. It's been almost a year. And I didn't think about what triggered the door knock. Because I know once I walked through the door what I started doing. I walked in and went, whoa, God really is creator. Like he did all of this with purpose. And that was my moment of walking through the door. But what led me to that door? Ding. What is your Netflix password? I better answer. All right. Do not reply. So what led me to the door that I knocked on, that I came through? What led me to that question is the next part of the story. So last night, my wife, before last night, my wife has been having shoulder problems. We think it's a rotator cuff tear of some kind, but they didn't do any kind of scan to find out what it was. They sent her to physical therapy to stretch it out, to see if they could start narrowing down to see if they could start narrowing down what the actual tear was in her shoulder. So last night, she's walking out of a school and trips on the edge of a rug and just loses her balance, and down she goes and lands on her shoulder and dislocates it. All those muscles already being stretched out and the shoulder already being loose, first time in her life. I'm not there. I'm at home taking care of the kids, the other kids. She's at the school doing one of our kids. And she's just, she thankfully didn't drive there. She rode with a friend. And usually she's a driver. Usually she doesn't have, usually she has her car there. Even though she rides with other people, she often drives. And so to have her not be driving in this moment was a miracle right there. And she doesn't know what she's done. She just knows it hurts more than anything she's ever felt in her life. And Luke, my son Luke was there. He was able to, with the other mom that drove, was able to get her to the car, get her in, buckled in, coat on. You know, she already had her coat on, but she's holding her arm like this and she is not moving, and it hurts. Every movement hurts. No, I think she was holding her arm like this. Well, I can't. I'm out of view. She's had her arm like she's sitting in the car holding it, and just holding it, and just crying and pain, and oh my gosh, it was very overwhelming for everyone. And it's a good memory. So they get to the hospital from the school they were at. They were out of town, like a 20-minute drive. And so she's in this pain, and she's holding herself in this pain for 30 minutes now before she even gets to the emergency room. And she gets to the emergency room, and of course, I'm already there. Of course, the doctors won't let me register anything. And so we have to go through this startup process where they get her blood pressure, and the nurse takes the notes and gets her ready for the doctor. And the doctor comes in after all that process, but during all that process, there's all this pain. And I was able to be there, hold her hand. I mean, there's nothing I could do but wait and try to find a way to give Marty some kind of hope that the pain would go. And the whole situation, not to pull it away from my wife, but the whole situation is full of moments of choice. Every moment is a choice. And there were lots of them. It didn't stop. And it's intense to decide how can I, in this moment, do something, create something, destroy something. How is that even possible? I'm not in control of any of it. I just get to exist there. And when we realize that's who and where we are in life, we realize we can choose life. We can choose to try to bring something out of a place of faith, out of a place of fear. And whatever we've practiced is typically what we'll do. If we don't practice faith, when it gets intense, we won't choose faith. We'll fall to our habit, because we are creatures of habit. Our dogs control our lives. So we are creatures of habit, and we will do what we've practiced. And this morning I was hesitant to even come on and do this, because I felt so overwhelmed with the moment. So we're at the doctor, and they have to get an x-ray. She's in all this pain, and they have to get an x-ray. So they get her some pain meds. They think she's got a dislocated shoulder. And they numb her up, and they get her an x-ray. She gets through the x-ray, and the doctor comes in pretty quickly and tells us it's definitely dislocated. We made sure we told him that about the rotator cuff, but he said that he implied that probably loosened it up. Yeah, oofed. So he tries a couple of techniques, and he tries massaging it, and then eventually had to roll her over and have her laying on her belly, and eventually popped it back in, and all the pain was gone. And it was just, like heaven had returned. She must have been hurting so much, so hard, so terribly. So what next? What next? Now that you're back together, shoulders in place, they walk us through what's to come. And they teach us even a couple techniques. If you're out in the wilderness and you have a dislocated shoulder, here's a way to pop it back in. poofed. So now she's got to get over to orthopedics. They're going to look at the shoulder. We'll find out what to do from there. We spent the night on the couch rather than in a bed, so that you'd have two sides to lean on, so you could just baby that thing all night long. Make sure you don't roll over on it, because you can't roll over on the couch by accident. And I did something I haven't done before. I just laid, it was an elbow couch, and I just laid there at her feet all night long. Because after all of the intensity of the moment in the hospital, and all of the intensity that culminated into a single, just stressful, there's nothing you can do but walk through this moment. And as I decided in those moments how I would handle it, and the faith that welled up within me in a firmer way than it ever has, that kind of faith was still there when it came to bedtime. And I wondered where I should sleep for a brief moment, and decided I knew exactly where I would stay. For this woman that I love. For this moment for her. Because I've practiced it. Because I get up every single morning and practice loving the Father. Because I know He's in control, and every morning I get up and I practice in the same way that I love the Father, loving my wife. And then I practice loving my kids. And I don't do it all right all the time. But I keep practicing the way that He's showing me. But you can't know the way that He's showing you if you don't practice that. And if you can't love the Father, you don't have the ability to love anyone else correctly. Because out of our love comes more love. And if we practice loving idols, loving the things that pull us away from relationship, if we practice that, that is the practice that will come out when relationship matters. It took this moment last night for me to come to understanding that that's so true, you know? I proved it because it changed in me. That's not how I often would respond. You always do your best to love people as you can, but to respond in such a way and know why I responded that way. And to be able to find its root in your heart. Okay? What if it's the other tree? What if now I'm seeing a moment of super intensity where I responded in fear? What does that mean for me? What do I do with that? Because it haunts me. And every time I think about it, it haunts me. And I don't know why it haunts me. Do you have one of those? Because you can trace it back through the fear. Why does it haunt you? Well, because I did this, like this. Okay, why? What was your motivation for doing that? What told you that that was the way to do it? Did you just guess? Probably not. It probably comes from a truth in your past that you chose to believe, and that belief system is the seed. That belief system, it comes from that seed that was planted and grew into this reaction in you, this fear seed. So if you can see the fear, you can point to the seed and go, God, why do I believe this differently than what you say is true? And your perspective changes. And you forgive yourself for believing that. Isn't that incredible? That you can do that and the Holy Spirit can guide you to it? How did I learn how to do that? I traced it back in my life to a book I read with you guys called Killing Kryptonite. And I didn't realize until this morning that this book was the catalyst. I read it twice. Now you see, I was already seeking before I read this book. I was already desiring to answer the why to one of my questions. So I understand what led me to this book, but it's this book that helped me understand this process. This book asks the question, what is your kryptonite? John, you started this. You brought me to the door of understanding this process that God uses to teach us what He wants to teach us. And if you don't realize that it's happening, then you don't see it as a lesson. You don't see it as discipline. Because you still think that something in this world can happen without His approval, without His ordaining it. Nothing happens except that which God has ordained. And once you accept that, then all of creation is His discipline working its way through your life. And if you can look at it and understand how to see what discipline looks like, you can begin to go, okay, why did I just get my hand smacked? Because you believed like this, and that was wrong. But all of my fears are covered. All of my sins are forgiven, I thought. I'm white as snow. You are. You are forgiven for that. That's the point. You don't have to live in shame of what you're doing every single day. Instead, you can use this process to identify the seeds of fear in your life and dig them out. And go, that's not true. This is the way God says to live it so that it will produce good fruit. It's the same muscle. You either give faith or you give fear. You either put the faith seed in the ground or the fear seed in the ground. You either stretch the faith muscle or the fear muscle, but it's the same arm. It's the same action. It's the same moment in which you exercise your free will to create something or destroy something. You get to create based on your judgment of that moment. Will you have compassion or not? Will you be humble or not? Will you realize that they're going through the same struggle that you are just coming to the realization of, or not? So here's the announcement. I'm going to do a book study on this. I've got the DVD set here, and I'm just going to go through it in videos. The first one will be live, and then I'll put it on the site for anybody that wants to go through it with me. And we're going to discuss the book. To do it, we need the book, which is on a link. Let me find it. So that is there. This is on my feed, my Facebook feed. I posted this. This is the book. It's gotten one comment. But this is the store on that link. Store.messengerinternational.org. Currently on sale for $11. I gave my book away. I have the DVD set and I gave my book away. And so now I need a new book myself. The people that have read this, I mean, this stuff, this book answers a lot of questions. I wish I could share John's teaching with every church. Like, they're just so good. 320-page book. It's so good, guys. Read it. Let it change you. I will do the rest of this in privacy. But I will go through getting that book. I'm going to finish that. You guys get it if you want it. I'm going to start another feed titled This Book Thing, and in about 5 minutes, and we're going to go through the first DVD. Yeah. I don't know what day, but I'll try to announce it. So if you want to be there for the live one, you can. And I'll go from there. So this book is the reason. This is the book that brought me to the door that I knocked on and came out the other side going, God, you are creator. What now? Out of that, he called me to be a prophet and to come to you to teach you how to heal, how to grow, how to live a life of compassion, a life of humility, a life of servanthood, and what that looks like, how to apply it to your life, how to find the fears and get rid of them so that you can live free, so that you don't have to believe anything that isn't true anymore, so that you can step into this new world realizing that you have complete control over it. And I can show you how to take that control if you will just believe. I'll be back 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that.